Hey, good morning, everybody. On this finally Friday, Chris Allen here on the Sam channel with Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. I've got it all. It's all there. And it's all sponsored by Ace Hardware Marketplace for this Friday, September 27th. Well, made landfall last evening as a Category 4 hurricane. And with the sun just coming up, here it is 7:37 on this Friday morning, Central Time. Devastation across Florida, Georgia, even the Carolinas, Atlanta, experiencing flooding. There have been rescues from high water moving through Atlanta, Georgia, that far in, and Helene is holding its strength. It's still at tropical storm strength with winds of 60 miles per hour, even right now, and even that far inland. And it's headed our direction. And all you got to do is look outside and know that we're starting to feel and see the effects of Helene this morning. There's a live look at the Plano camp, and we see the wind moving things around, that the trees in front of us, and you can see the water on the lens of the camera, or actually on the window. That crepe myrtle there is really swaying in the wind, and we've had some higher gusts here. We'll check some of the Kentucky mesonet gusts here in just a second, just to see. I'm curious what some of the higher wind gusts have been, but look at that rain coming down. And sometimes when the wind blows, it blows a little sideways, and it's going to be like this all day. This is not going to let up. We've got a big shield of rain that's moving through, and we have yet to feel the full brunt of the remnants of Helene. It won't be of course, a hurricane. It still might be a tropical storm for a little bit longer before it weakens into a tropical depression. But it's on its way, and here it comes. Look at this shield of rain that's over the area. I mean, it is big. And the center of Helene is, once you see this in motion, it's right here, just a little bit south of Asheville, North Carolina, and that's where some of the heaviest rain bands are going on. Notice there's really no lightning. This is not a very convective storm. It was when it was out over the warmer waters of the Gulf of Mexico. But it's just a lot of rain and wind. Let me give you a even better perspective of this entire storm. And you see how far north the shield of goes, all the way, well, pretty much to the southern Great Lakes, from Indianapolis to St. Louis to Memphis, Nashville, and then down south. The rains have stopped in Georgia and Florida, but this thing is moving at a pretty good clip. So you can see how the heavy rains are just going to, for hours and hours and hours, continue to put down some very heavy rainfall, flooding rains in parts of Georgia. I would think around the Chattanooga area is going to get some flooding rains, maybe even Knoxville. And then, of course, Asheville, North Carolina, maybe into the Virginias. You could see some flooding rain over that way if you're watching from that direction. Let me stop the motion here and put on the layer. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let me get up here where I can see the layer, and we'll put on all of the bulletins, take off the radar. But look, I mean, wind advisories, high wind warnings. Now, where you see some of the more, I'm going to call it a butterscotch color, back here to the west, that's a tan color for wind advisory, plus the flood watch is in effect for much of the western part of Kentucky and the Bowling Green area. But you go over toward Adair County and some of the counties to the east, high wind warning, as you see there, plus the flood watch. So the high wind warning, as you see here, goes until 8 o'clock Eastern. East winds 20 to 30, but gust up to 60 miles per hour is expected, especially as we get the real brunt of the remnants of Helene. So anywhere between now and this evening, it's, the damaging wind potential blowing down trees and power lines. Power outages are expected in the central and eastern part of the state. That's where the highest winds are expected. And some of the cities included in that include Mount Vernon, Somerset, let's see here, Burnside, Moorhead, Stanton, Beattyville, Sandy Hook, Mount Sterling, Flemingsburg, all in the central and eastern parts of Kentucky. So high wind warning there. That's where the heaviest or the strongest winds are going to be today, as the remnant center of what was Helene moves out of South Carolina through that little sliver of North Carolina. These are all hurricane warnings and tornado watches. And then it goes into high wind warnings. Then for us, it's mostly, wind advisory and a flood watch. So there's still a lot of activity going on. As you can see, these things are to continue to coming as we go through the day. So this is really in the beginning stages, so to speak, but it's moving so quickly that it's already influencing our weather. Started doing that last night, and it's going to continue to influence our weather as we go through the day today, even into tonight and tomorrow. We're going to feel the effects of Helene. Even though it will be weaker, it is still going to pack a punch, and I still think we're going to get wind and rain during the day tomorrow. So if you got something planned outdoors tomorrow, keep that in mind. All right, let's go to the Kentucky Mesonet Network, because then and here we can see in real time how things are progressing through the area. Now, these are the current temperatures, 60s and 70s, or around 70, upper 60s to about 70. Okay, that's all well and good. Let's check precipitation. And I'm going to go back 24 hours because we had some of the rain begin before midnight, so I'm not going to use that layer. Let me go to the 24-hour layer, and you will see, look at Allen County. Wow. The Mesonet sensor in Scottsville picking up almost 2.5 inches of rain. And that's just since about 10 o'clock last night or so. Because you didn't really have any before then. Most of the rain that was with the boundary before the effects of Helene got here were west of Bowling Green and west of 65. So this would not even count that, because you didn't get anything until last night when it started moving in. So just about 2.5 inches, and it's still counting. Almost 2 inches of rain for Barron County, Warren County. That goes for Simpson County, Logan County, Todd County. Notice everything is pretty equal here. Almost 2 inches over in Metcalfe County, right at 2 inches for Monroe County. Same thing for the Clinton County area. Then you see some lighter amounts, 1 inch and 1/10, 1 1/3 inch, 1.5 further north and further west. So the brunt, or the really core of the heaviest rains, have been right here over the Bowling Green, Southern Kentucky area, News 40 viewing area, and the SAM 100.7 listening area. And we're not done. We're not done. We're going to see, as I mentioned, have been mentioning the last couple of days, maybe 3 to 4 inches of rain by the time we're done with this entire system. The winds also, look at this. These are sustained winds coming out of the northeast. Now, that's important for those of you that depend on which way the wind blows. So, with the circulation being southeast of our area, the winds are coming in from the northeast until the center of rotation gets into our area, and then we'll see it changing more to the northwest. But right now, these are sustained winds, not the gusts. Anywhere from 10 to 15 to even 20 miles per hour, sustained winds. Now let's look at the gusts, and it gets a little more impressive. 20, 25, 39. A 39 mile per hour wind gust in Hart County just now. A 41 mile per hour wind gust in Marion County, that's Lebanon, Kentucky. And I bet you if we go further north, we're going to start to see some more impressive, right in here, this central part of the state where the high wind warning is. The worst of the winds have not come yet. So it wouldn't surprise me to see some of these places go 45, 50, 55 miles per hour, even close to 60 miles per hour later today and into this evening. The winds are going to be howling. So this is not a tornado situation. This is not your typical severe thunderstorm situation. All of this is wind-driven rain. That is the power of this system. Flooding is a possibility, as we saw with the flood advisory. Everybody is under that. The wind advisory, everybody is under that. The high wind warning is more central and eastern Kentucky. So you've got all of those things working together around this huge circulation. This has been one of the biggest tropical systems. It has been a record-breaking biggest tropical storm to hit the Big Bend area of Florida, where it made landfall. Right around Perry, Florida, is where it made landfall last night. And we're starting to see, you can see, this is the Weather Channel, Cedar Key, Florida. You can see that some of the destruction there with the sun just coming up and the rains have stopped. That's, wow. That's a lot of damage. And all the networks this morning are covering that because we knew with a Category 4 storm, it was going to be, rather incredible. The good news, if there's any good news out of this system, is that it moved quickly. If it had slowed down, then we would have been talking about devastating storm surge. It has already killed 3 people. There have already been 3 fatalities, and there have been a number of water rescues because of the heavy rain that has moved through parts of Florida, Georgia, and now into the Carolinas. Here's the latest from the National Hurricane Center on Helene, and it is moving out of Georgia, about to move into North Carolina, and then into East Tennessee. And by this evening, it will still be tropical storm strength as it moves into the Cumberland Plateau of Tennessee and right on the Kentucky-Tennessee border this evening. And the winds still could be up 40, 50, maybe even close to 60 miles per hour. An inland tropical cyclone. Then, as we get into tomorrow and Sunday, look what happens. It sits right here over southern Kentucky as a tropical depression, and then it'll just go down to a tropical low pressure system. But that's going to keep unsettled weather in our forecast, not only today, but tomorrow and Sunday. It won't be out of here until maybe Monday, before we see the all the effects of this system finally getting caught up in the upper winds. Steering winds will then take it out of here, and then we'll start to see things clearing up, but not until then. And as far as, is it going to be like we're seeing right now all day today? The answer is yes. Is it going to be like this tonight? Yes. Tomorrow, we'll see it try to break off just a little. There will be those times when a dry slot will wrap around the remnant low and then cut off the rain for maybe just a little bit, but then it's going to come back as the backside of Helene comes through. So then a shift in the wind, and then another batch of rain will come through, say on Sunday and Monday. So we're not done by any stretch of the imagination. And oh, here's another thing that has been an issue: power outages. Now, we don't have any in Kentucky that I know of. Let's see. Well, let's see. There's about 6,000. Let's see. There's Harlan, Kentucky, Harlan County, Leslie County. There's a couple of hundred people that are experiencing some outages. Knox County. We're talking about the far southeastern part of Kentucky for one reason or another: the rains, the wind. Lee County, Estill County, Magoffin, Carter, Elliott. That's way over in the eastern part of the state, but we can even track some of these things to watch how the wind and rain is affecting power. But the worst, look at this: Florida, over 1 million people are without power. Same for Georgia. Same for South Carolina. North Carolina, about 440,000 are without power. Virginia, even 32,000 people without power. In Tennessee, 18,000 without power. Now, I would say in the next several hours, we're going to see Kentucky start to fill in, either turn yellow or orange, depending on the number of outages that are going to happen when the remnant Helene really starts to kick up the winds and the rain. So we said to expect power outages from this system, and that's certainly going to be the case. So if I were you, I would go ahead and just because this might happen, might not happen, we may get by with just everything just blowing around really well, a lot of wind, a lot of rain. But if I were you, I would go ahead and power up your phone, your tablet, if you have one, just in case you lose power. I know it's daylight, but it's kind of darkish outside because of the rain and the clouds. You may lose power. Anybody could lose power. If we get enough standing water, say at a transfer station or one of those electrical substations, that could short out the substation, and then a bunch of people go without power. But just keep that in mind. Don't throw it aside and think all the power outages are going to be somewhere else. It could happen here. So I'm just letting you know, if you want to stay up to date on everything, make sure you download the News 40 weather app right there by, just opening your camera on your phone and scan that QR code. That way, you can download the News 40 app and stay up to date on any kind of, weather updates and all of that. But power outages are still a possibility. I mean, we get loose ground, we get, the winds blowing some trees into power lines, things like that. It's a possibility with some of those stronger winds, and your power will go out. And the problem is, when you get that many people going without power, it's going to maybe be a while before it gets back on. So, but just think about the folks in Florida and Georgia. Millions are without power. It may be a week or more. before they get power restored. All right, let's move on. And after we get through with Helene, or should I say, after Helene gets through with us, we're going to see more tranquil weather in the coming days. We'll go about 72, 73 today, windy, rainy, and there's even some fog out there because of the just the dampness in the air. That's a possibility even tonight. More rain tomorrow in the 60s, 67, 68, still a bit breezy, not as windy as today. Then as we go through the rest of the weekend, we slowly begin to get rid of Helene's after effects as we head into Sunday and Monday, but still a chance of some leftover showers there. Then as we get into the beginning of next week, we start to see improvement. In fact, look at all next week, the first week of October, and we will see highs in the 70s, lows in the 40s and 50s. Less humid air is going to come in after Helene leaves, and it's going to feel real good. And from what I can tell, sunshine will return and the weather will quiet down. That's going to be real good news for everybody once this thing gets out of here. But as long as it's around, look out. It's going to be nasty. All right, here's a look at the map this morning. You can see there's tropical storm Helene, no longer a hurricane, but its effects in meeting up with that stalled boundary to the east is what's keeping all the rain in the forecast. And you can see all these little tight lines here. That's equal lines of pressure. And you can see they do spread out a little bit more once you get up into Kentucky. But this is why we have the wind. Deepening low pressure and the winds just deepening with higher gusts. Look at let's see here. That's 976 millibars. That's a pretty strong tropical storm that's right now moving through the Atlanta area with the heaviest of the rains now moving through parts of Tennessee, the Carolinas, the Virginias, Ohio, even Indiana and Illinois. That's right now. Let's move through the afternoon, and the remnant low, or still tropical storm, Helene, will be about Chattanooga by noon today, and you can see we're still very much in that big shield of heavier rain and gusty winds. In fact, the winds will pick up as the center of this storm gets closer to us, which will be this afternoon and this evening. Now, the barometer will go up. Air pressure will go up to 992, which is a lot better, which means we won't have any more deepening of that low, but it's still pretty stout. So breezy this evening, still rainy this evening. As we get into tomorrow morning, the low will sit practically right over Bowling Green. The leftovers of Helene are going to sit right over us and continue with the breezy conditions and the rainy conditions. So another rainy day with the breezes tomorrow. Look, it just sits there pretty much over the land between the lakes and Bowling Green. It's just going to sit and spin. Therefore, rain pretty much throughout the day tomorrow. Here's tomorrow night and into early Sunday morning. It sits right over Bowling Green or somewhere close to us, keeping showers in the forecast. Then by Monday, we finally see this thing becoming weak enough to where the rain gets caught up, and some of this gets caught up into the upper level winds, which will start to steer this thing out of the picture. High pressure begins to take over. There will be some fog and maybe some drizzle and mist as we head into Monday morning. Then by Monday afternoon, here comes a cold front. This is actually going to help push all this off to the east finally by Tuesday. And this behind this front is going to be some less humid air that is going to take over, and that is going to feel real nice. Sunshine returns for Wednesday with the pleasant temperatures. There's Thursday, even beyond that to next weekend. Everything is looking much, much better. So we just got to give this time to work itself out of the atmosphere. There are going to be times when the weather will break long enough for us to maybe look outside and go, is it over yet? Are we done? Nope. Here comes another wave. Here comes another surge. It's going to be like that all day today, tonight, and pretty much all day tomorrow. So just take heed with that and understand that even with a 40 or 50 mile per hour wind gust, if we're likely to get that, you can still have power outages. Power outages can happen for various reasons, and not always because of wind or rain. It could be a combination of those things. It could be where, a tree branch gets into those power lines and it shorts them out. And then, there's all kinds of ways that could happen. Trash can receptacle or a trampoline or lawn furniture can get caught up in a gust of wind and that it hits a transformer. There's all kinds. So just be ready and don't be too surprised if your power goes out for some reason for somebody out there today, tonight, or tomorrow. But the worst of the wind and the rain is still yet to come. That's going to happen later today. Let's see here. Thanks to everybody in the chat box this morning. We got a lot of people watching as expected. Mandem98, good morning. Tony. And let's see here. Jock, Karen, Linda, Loretta, Terry, Karen, Eric, Charlene, Captain Ron, Virginia, Lisa, Debbie, Gloria, Letitia. Thanks to all of you this morning for chiming in and watching this update. I'll have more, of course, coming up tonight on News 40 at 5, 6, and 10, as we'll still be tracking where Helene is going, and it still could be tropical storm strength, even later this evening before it becomes a tropical depression and weakens even more. So we're going to see more resulting high rainfall totals, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, and potential wind gust of 40, 50, and over in the central part of the state, maybe even up to 60 miles per hour, and the possibility of power outages. So keep all that in mind. In the meantime,